Coach Carla Nicole. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad you're here. So, yes, listen, today is the day. Beautiful Sunday, 7 o'clock. Let's get started on talking about why love matters. Okay? Yes, love matters. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, be sure to do that. It's Coaching Matters. Make sure to subscribe, please, and thank you. Make sure to share this video because I want you to think about some things that's very important to enhance your love affair. Okay? So this is going to be very, very straight and to the point, but it's also going to be something that you can take tonight, watch this video, and apply it to your life and totally change how to lie-proof your relationship. Now, for those of you that have actually been, watching my little shorts recently, I've been talking about lies. Like, how do we keep getting in these relationships where lies just seem to keep coming up in the relationship? Why do we keep having lies going on? What's going on with this? This is really aggravating and really frustrating when we're in our love affair and we're just trying to enjoy it, but yet we're having a hard time enjoying it because all this time we're in this relationship, we're finding ourselves being a private investigator. We're finding ourselves trying to figure out the truth from the lies or the lies from the truth, right? So why is that so frustrating? Well, it's frustrating because a lot of times in our love affairs, we don't want to be honest with the fact that our lovers, we teach how to lie to us. I know that sounds crazy. I know it sounds bizarre. I know it's off the Richter scale, just something you can't fathom, but it's true. So let me explain to you why this happens. In love affairs, we have been taught, right, while we're in these affairs, we've been taught to enjoy the lies and to hate the truth. So let me fill you in on what I mean. We've been taught to love the lies and hate the truth. And so, because of that, what's happening is a lot of times when we're in a relationship and in an affair, when a lover tries to tell us something that's true, or they're trying to explain something that they're feeling, or they're talking about some things that's going on, a lot of times we don't want to hear the stuff that they're talking about. We're like, listen, I don't want to hear all that, because what I want to hear is the lies, because I would much rather be able to better digest them. And that's true, but you're living in an illusion when you're in these lies, and these lovers can't live up to what their lies are. So now you're finding yourself constantly frustrated by lovers that are lying, and you're just over it. You're tired of it. And you're like, I can't seem to get a man to tell me the truth if I paid him to do that. Well, let me explain to you why. Here's why. A lot of times when a lover tells us what we want to hear, we end up giving them all the perks. The loving, we give them the kisses, we give them the gifts, and you know what else I'm talking about. We do all kinds of extras for them when they tell us what we want to hear. Not that it's true, just that we want to hear it. However, where it's messing us up is that, yes, we're teaching them that that's okay to show us that side of them, as long as they live up to the lie. And that's where everything goes wrong. Everything goes wrong here, because living up to the lie and telling the lie are two totally different things. Okay? Capiche? Follow me. Make sure to share this video and make sure to subscribe to this channel, because what I'm giving you tonight, you're going to be able to use tonight. There's no waiting in the brush. You get to use what I'm gifting you tonight and apply it to your life and your relationship tonight. To start live proofing, because the shit it's out of hand. It's getting to be ridiculous. And the ridiculous part about it is we don't understand why we keep having this drummed up. Okay? So, let me explain something to you now that we've gotten here. Here's what's true, baby boys and baby girls. I want you to think about something. Here's what you can do to first realize how to live proof your love affair. Number one thing, get your pen and paper, write your journal, whatever you got to do, but write this in your soul, in your heart, and in your mind. One thing that you have to start to do is you have to start welcoming the truth. Write it down. Come on, write it down. Welcome the truth. That's number one. And let me explain to you how this looks so you can understand what I mean by welcoming the truth. A lot of times when if we're in a love affair, when we're honest, a lot of times when we're in these affairs with someone and they tell us something that we don't want to hear and it's the truth, we usually shut it off. We'll tell them we don't want to hear it. And we'll even say it out of our mouth. I don't want to hear it. Don't tell me that. I don't want to hear that. You do realize when you do that, what you're doing is you're killing authenticity and vulnerability in your relationship. If you're killing vulnerability and you're killing authenticity, you're killing intimacy in your relationship. You have to begin to welcome truth. Now, here's where it goes. I want you to write this down. You have to first, in order to get the love to be what it is and for it to upgrade, you have to first start telling the truth to yourself. Write it down. Write it down. Get your journal. Start writing. You have to start telling yourself the truth. Here's what the problem is in relationships. We're not able to stomach when someone tells us the truth because we spend a lot of time in our private time, even when we talk to ourselves, and yes we do, even when we're talking to ourselves, we're telling ourselves all kinds of lies. So when our lover is lying, it matches. Write this down. Come on. I'm giving it to you straight today. I'm not half-stepping. We're going in, and we're going to keep it moving. So remember what I'm telling you. You have to make sure that you're starting to tell yourself the truth. Can we do that first? Okay? Let me tell you what that looks like. When you know that you're not doing something you need to be doing, you need to start owning that to you. That's first and foremost. If you want something to change, if you're tired of doing the same thing over and over again, you have to own it to yourself first. Okay? This will help you to build understanding of telling the truth to you. So when your lover's talking to you and conveying some things that's a truth to them, you're able to not only understand it but recognize it when it's present, rather than being dismissive, rather than shutting it off and not wanting to hear it. Welcome it. Okay? You got this? Now make sure you're writing this down. It's important. Write this down. Make sure you are telling the truth to yourself. By welcoming truth, you're first having to recognize telling the truth to yourself, even when it's hard to hear in your soul. Now, the reason why I'm wanting you guys to get comfortable with truth is because a lot of times we can't recognize truth if it's given to us on a silver platter. We can't recognize it because we don't practice truth to ourselves. In order for us to start to have certain relationships to be built on more authenticity and more joy and more realness, it comes from us being honest about, well, wait a minute. When I'm talking to myself and giving myself all this false stuff, I'm not being honest with me. No, you're not. But you continue to do the lies to yourself. So you must start to change that. In doing that change, you're going to start to recognize that it's going to feel better when you start talking to yourself and being honest with yourself first. Okay? Be honest with you first. Hey, Latin. Be honest with you first. That's what it's going to require. Be honest with you first. I'm giving y'all something right now that you can use tonight. I'm talking about once you get off this video with me, you can start to apply it tonight. So write this down. I want you to pay attention. You want to be honest with you. Okay? Here's what we never do. We never tell ourselves, hey, I need to start looking at how I'm even responding to my lover. I don't even know how. I'm not doing this well. I'm not being honest with me. Or should I say, I tend to respond quickly without allowing myself to digest. Y'all ready for this next one? Here we go. Buckle up. Buckle up. Let's go. Buckle up. Here's what's next. Make sure you share this. Make sure you share this. And not only just share it, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. It's vital. Okay, so here's what's next. Are you guys really ready to be honest? We don't tend to want to hear the truth at all. So we have a tendency to just start talking and responding. And we're not allowing ourselves to digest the truth. See, here's where we go wrong. Someone will tell us their truth, and what we tend to do, let me be honest, they'll tell us their truth, and what we tend to do is we start being either dismissive, or we start to get an attitude, or we start telling them what we think what it should be, and all of this, and we're not allowing ourselves to digest their truth. We don't have enough patience and love, honey. We don't have enough patience and love, honey. Can I be honest with you? We're not patient enough in love. So what we tend to do is when a truth is given, we don't allow ourselves to digest it. All we do is start responding quick. And when we respond, 9 times out of 10, we respond all wrong. We don't respond well. We just start talking. But we never sit back and say, you know what, maybe what I should do is listen and then take a time to ponder and try to come to an understanding. Here's what's next. Not only understanding from our perspective, but understanding from theirs. Here's the problem. A lot of times we don't want to talk about this because we don't want to admit it. We have a hard time seeing something from someone else's eyesight. It's easy for us to assume something and say something and be on a certain perspective. But when it comes time for us to listen to someone else's perspective, especially if we disagree, it's hard for us to hear and even understand their point of view. Right? So when we have a hard time to understanding, we start responding and we don't take time to have patience in responding. And so now we have a lot of conflicts, right? We have a lot of misunderstandings. We have a lot of arguments. We have a lot of times we're sleeping back to back or not sleeping at all, or we're not sleeping together, shall I say. And so, because of that, my loves, it comes from the fact that you are not open to hearing the truth. I'm going to go back to the first one just so I can explain why I'm telling you this is important. When you don't practice telling yourself the truth, when your lover tells you their truth and you're quick to respond without allowing yourself time to digest and understanding it, there comes a lot of misunderstanding. And what misunderstanding does is cost us intimacy. Because if I can't understand where you're coming from, then guess what happens? If I don't understand where you're coming from, I start making assumptions about you. And I start giving you all the things that I think you should do or how I think you should do it. But that's not them. They're someone different. They're not you. Our problem in these love affairs, my love, is that we're taking too much time constantly bickering and complaining about what we don't like and what we don't think they should be doing and how they're doing it and all this stuff, but we never allow our lovers to be themselves. Here's what is very important. We don't give our lovers enough time to be their self in their freedom. So what do? We only will love them to what they look like and how they act in our mind. We can't love them or like them or be in agreement with them with the real version of who they are. Because the one in our mind is the one we are in love with. We're not in love with the real one because we spend most of our time having, well, I wish he was this. And I am with him, but I wish he did this for me. And he doesn't do enough of this. And I really can't understand why I never get this from him. And we go on and on, right? Here's why. Because we take too much time focusing on everything our lover doesn't do. And this, my love, comes from a bad practice of us calling ourselves doing relationships based upon what we've seen other people do. And when we watched other people do their relationships, we took on some of that learning and understanding and applied it to our relationship. Not based upon what we need, but based upon what we saw other people do. And so, hey! And so when you see other people doing stuff, you're like, well, why are they doing this? Well, they're doing it because they don't understand that inside of relationships, we have to leave room for error. We have to leave room for error. And we also have to leave room for human beings to be who they are. We have to leave room for their freedom to be who they are. Here's what I challenge everybody to do. And I say this all the time, and I'm sure you guys can go into the YouTube. I've talked about this all the time. We get so confined and, headstrong when it comes to certain positioning or mindsets or how we think our relationship should look and what we want our relationships to be like and all this other stuff. We have a tendency to have these certain things in our mind. But what we don't pay attention to is, well, wait a minute. I'm not sure if this type of relationship is meant for me, for real. I know that I've seen other people in this style of relationship, and so because I've seen other people in it and I see that it works well, I think I want to do the same thing. But is that a match for you? Well, again, we go back to, and I always keep saying, this is very important, I have to keep going back to helping you to see that our main problem is we have a tendency to not realize that in our relationships, we mimic And we do things based upon what we've observed in previous relationships. Okay? It's costing us our intimacy just from these misunderstandings, if you get what I'm saying. So we have to start to pay attention to what we're doing and start to realize, well, maybe I need to sit down and look at, am I loving to the best of my ability? Or am I loving based upon what I think I should be loving? Or, how am I loving? Am I loving? How about that? The reason I asked you to ask yourself that is because a lot of times what we're doing in our relationships doesn't resemble love at all. Here's why. Because we're looking for certain actions to be done in the relationship versus becoming love in our soul first. We're spending a lot of time evaluating, and he's doing this and he's doing that, and I wish he was doing this and wish he was doing that, but we very seldom sit down and think about, well, am I love? Am I? So now I have to change what I think love's supposed to look like. Because again, as we look at it, we see love. So we think. We see people in love, and then we see them all out of love. And then we see them with somebody else, and then we see them together. And we've seen a lot of stuff. But what I figured out, in order to lie-proof your relationship, you first have to be truthful to you. And then you have to make sure that you can digest the truth when your lover tells you the truth. Here's the last skinny, but it's very important: becoming love. When you become love, it changes everything. Because guess what that does when you become love? Can I explain what love looks like? It's not my physical being. See, we fall in love with this, what we look like and all of that, all that physical stuff. What is the experience that our lover feels when they're in our presence? That's love. But first, you have to maintain a loving with you first. I told you could do this today. I'm talking about you can get off this video, watch it again, share it and all that, subscribe to the channel, and you can go right into this tonight and do this. Becoming love means you learn how to restore something in your soul that resounds within the atmosphere forever. I'm talking about, what we don't understand is we're not going to be here forever. But people remember a small segment of time that they had with you, and they can't get enough. Think about that. There's something that you've done for someone 10 years ago, and if they see your face, they're going to remember that from 10 years ago. That's love. I want y'all to see that. And the reason I want you to see that is because that we never talk about is what matters long term. We spend a lot of time talking about, oh, I've been with my husband for 10 years, or I've been with my girl for 15 years, or me and him been together for 29 years, and all that's great. However, let me tell you something. When you experience something with someone, and that experience is something that is just amazing, you realize that person brought something into your life that's forever going to be remembered. That is love. So now, what I have managed to do in my own personal meditation and growth, and I'm constantly growing. Yes, I'm a coach, and I'm always helping to guide, but I'm always trying to see, how can I restore what I give to people online, offline, in person? whatever, what do I give them? When I walk away, what do they say to themselves? When they don't see me for a while and then they see me again, what do they say? Are they saying, man, I remember you. You were such and such. I remember you. You made me happy. You made me this. You did this for me. I remember you back in such and such. And what I remember, here's what's deep. When you give someone something joyful to remember you by on a regular basis, guess what that means? You're going to be sought after, or you're going to be remembered, or when they see you, you're going to get a return smile and joyful presence from them, because you dished it out first. You've become love. That's what love looks like. We want all these relationships and stuff, but we don't talk about what we gift. People in general, human beings, can we be kind to each other? Or do we spend most of our time being a hater or being dismissive to someone, or not kind, or not checking for nothing, not holding the door open, just let the door slam on people's faces? I mean, really? But when we're kind, people remember you. I get people that remember me all the time. Oh, I remember you. You did such and such. But I make sure to be that. And I've made it my position, or should I say my practice now, to focus on how can I gift kindness, and how can I help someone's life be better just by them crossing my path. Now, in doing that, when I'm in a love affair, that should also be something I'm focusing on. A lot of times we don't. Yes, we don't. We don't think about, well, when my lover sees me pulling the driveway, does he deflate? Or is he excited and beaming at the door and can't wait to open the door up for me? What's that experience when I pull up? See, we don't evaluate that part, and we should be. When we pull up in the driveway, what's he looking like? Is he like, here she comes? Or is he like, oh, she's home. I got to find out what her day was like. That's two totally different experiences right there in itself. And it comes from that person being love versus that person being a burden and a headache and a hassle and a back and forth. Every time he pulls in the driveway, you cussing about something. Why are you in this relationship if all you're doing is bringing burden to this person? This is why I say all the time, we have to change the way we look at self. And the first way to look and change that is to first being honest with self. I go back to honesty. And the honesty about how we feel, how we treat ourselves, comes down to, okay, what do I need to do to make sure that when I'm in my child's presence, my lover's presence, my bestie's presence, my cousin's presence, my family's presence, my mom, my dad's presence, when I'm in their presence, they're glad to be there. But if they're not, then why not? See, we never stop to think, maybe I'm needing some change. But the problem is, we don't want to be honest about what we need to change. We only want to focus on what someone else is doing, how someone else is responding to our presence. But we first have to be mindful of what we're delivering in our own presence to ourselves first. So like I told you earlier, being honest with you is the first step of being a new found joy to you. When you have that new joy to you, now you're going to be able to be the same to your lover. Just comes down to you being honest with yourself. But a lot of times we can't be honest. So you have to stop, look, and listen to what I'm telling you. Be true to you. You really want to experience love? I get it. Because love is a joyful thing. However, you got to become it. You got to become love in order to experience love. And then once you become love, you start to see, oh my, I'm having so much joy in this experience. And then you'll also realize you don't have to constantly see if you're going to be sought after, if they're wanting you in their space, if they're calling and checking for you. You don't have to wonder, because they are. Because you are a walking embodiment of great experience that they love about you. And here's the bonus. Always remember that your lover will find joy in you when you find joy in yourself. But you have to become it. If you have a lot of depression, you need to contact your coach. You need to get a hold of me. All that depression, it's hard to find the joy. You're gonna be a burden to someone, because you're a burden to yourself. If you're suffering from anxiety and constant worry and overthinking, get a hold to me. You know how to get a hold to me. It's Coach Carla Nicole. You need to get a hold to me. Because if you're doing all this overthinking and all this worry and all this, oh my God, I'm a mess, then you need to face that. You want to experience love in this life? You got to become love first. That's simple. And once you become love, you get to see, oh, the residual to that is when you become love, you start to feel it in return. And it's not hard to match it, because guess what? Once you are loved, that person can see it and they just want to match it. Most of the time, when we're in a love affair or in a relationship, we don't really want to be honest, but we find ourselves wanting to be in that relationship because of what we experience in that relationship. We can talk about anything. We can be candid. We can be naked. We can be truthful. We can tell some harsh truths, and it's well received. Remember earlier I mentioned how important it is to welcome truth. Don't dismiss it, because when you dismiss your truths from a lover or whatever, you're going to find out that someone's going to get really frustrated by that. They're going to be like, I can't continue like this in this relationship because you keep not allowing me to be who I am. So you want to welcome their truth, and you also want to give them their space of their freedom. We're terrified for a lover to have their own freedom to be who they are. Terrified. And you know what where the terrified part is coming from? Is insecurities. So you have to realize, oh, I'm terrified because I'm afraid that they're going to blossom into their higher self. Welcome that shit. If they're going to blossom into their higher self, you want to become that. You want to start striving to be your higher self. It's much more appealing. You'll have more joy. You'll have more excitement. You'll have more entertainment. Entertain each other just from being honest and open about what it is you want in your affair. It's not hard, but it's very important. When you allow them to be who they are, and you see how they are really not rigid, but they're really able to be free, and they're really able to be honest, you're going to have more wholesome love. Become love first. Be honest with you. Share this video, guys. I'm your coach, Carla Nicole. Like I said, you can find me on my website. It's smileandsip.com. You can subscribe to the channel and can definitely inbox me on Facebook. I have Carla Nicole Wisdom Coaching Services on Facebook. You can find me. There's no way. You can even inbox me here on YouTube. If you really need to change some things, you can do it. You don't have to stay in this discontent. You really want a love affair to match you in your beauty and have someone that gives a damn and wants to see you and spend time with you, you can have it. But you have to become love. And you have to become truthful to you. I'm out of here, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Be sure to share this. Make sure to comment, share all of what you've been through. And please, like I said, we come to a point where we have to get to a new higher self by just becoming true to each other and to self. It's your coach, Carla Nicole. I'm signing off. Let's go.